Hello everybody. Today I have with me Sandeep Bhushan, who is the Director and Head of Global Marketing Solutions India at Meta. We welcome you, Sandeep.
Great to be here.
So, beginning with our conversation today, let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is the metaverse. I would want to understand how is it really redefining the whole marketing and advertising landscape? What are some of the early trends that you've gathered?
I think we think of Metaverse as a continuing process of deeper immersion that's possible, enabled by the internet. Many moons ago, we shared photos and text. Now it's all video almost. Video now gets immersive. There's augmented reality, and eventually there's virtual reality. So for us, it's a continuum, and we are certainly keen to catalyze the metaverse conversation because we think communities can interact even more deeply as we go forward. And then we're true to our mission statement of connecting the world, right? So that's where it is. Already we are seeing exciting work on augmented reality beginning to happen. So placing a human onto a virtual frame and making things happen, whether it's brands or creators are beginning to use that. And then of course, Metaverse offers a tremendous amount of new possibilities as well. So that's the journey.
Sure. And what according to you can the businesses of today work upon to build a metaverse of tomorrow? What will be your suggestion to them?
So in the way we foresee the metaverse, there are a few principles. One is the whole area of immersion, the fact that you are across the screen as the individual through an avatar, that you can interact with others, and then you can therefore create. And the third is interoperability, which means we can access it through multiple devices. Sure. So when we can be together in a virtual space, in any context, we can create the context of a retail store, context of a school, work together, collaborate. That sets up multiple possibilities. Sure. And every business in every domain, therefore, has a potential use case. Illustratively, Byju's is working on an education piece that can be enabled by the metaverse to get deeper learning, sure. Right? Similarly, if you look at gaming, Grand Theft Auto, one of the big sort of console games of our times, is going to be on in the metaverse. So it's that immersive, right? Office applications, all the way from, let's say, WhatsApp to Slack on the metaverse. So already we are seeing those examples, and businesses are already doing two kinds of things. One is companies such as Nestle, for their Purina part of the business, they are doing employee immersions of their factory, but remotely, so they understand their plant, their production process. That's already happening. The other is, before the whole metaverse conversation, is the conversation on augmented reality. So for example, today, you can try a lipstick with a virtual try-on, and that's augmented reality, without the contact that a physical sample requires, without you going to the store, without ever worrying that that 70th or the 100th shade will not be there when you need it. All problems are solved, right, in that virtual try-on. So therefore, people are already beginning to build for the metaverse, the Nestle example, but lots of stuff immediately available for brands to do augmented reality. And we spoke of the Lakme example.
Sure, great. Even I, notice on an everyday basis that there are lots of brands who are actually experimenting with this space, whether it is a Holi campaign or whether it is even marriages for that matter. So it's kind of getting very interesting in that sense. Okay, so next I would want to understand the kind of consumer engagement that you have across your platforms, whether it is WhatsApp, Facebook, or Instagram.
Yeah, and I think it's a great segue because what's happening is consumer behavior and adoption of these emerging tools allows us to be even more convinced that the path to the future is even deeper immersion. I'll give you an example. Reels is one of our fastest growing surfaces, and India leads in terms of both reels consumption and creation. 6 million reels are created every day in India alone, right? So what we thought of was video. In some sense, we thought television, and that's the format of video for the mobile, but that's not true. Reels is the format built for mobile. You can interact, you can create, and it's the best studio on your own phone. Every production sort of technique you need to have, it's already there. 1/3 of reels have an AR effect added onto that already. Okay. So consumers are taking the opportunity to bring AR into play already. So they're showing you what can be, therefore brands bring, therefore AR work. So the short form video, which is deeply engaging, is one key trend. Okay. Reels, and we have short form video now both on Instagram and Facebook. Mm-hmm. On the Facebook side, video continues to be very, very large. So Facebook Watch is a massive surface where content is enjoyed. And for brands, there's advertising possibilities there. So it's becoming an engaging surface as well. And the last is WhatsApp. Messaging to businesses and messaging from businesses is now an emerging use case. And you will already see loads of banks where you can do basic banking services just on WhatsApp. You don't have to go to their app, right? Just this month, Uber launched a campaign where you can book a cab on WhatsApp. You don't have to go to the Uber app, right? So the ability to interact with consumers where they already are, which is WhatsApp, is the other big trend. So therefore, Reels, video, and messaging are some of the big new pieces that are coming to the fore.
Sure. Okay, this brings me to my next question. So I understand that you spearhead the small businesses and the large businesses part of Facebook. We also understand that there is an evident rise in terms of the D2C businesses that we see online today. So what are some of the trends that you've observed on the platform, and any key insights? What really is working for these D2C brands? What is not working?
Yeah.
All of that.
Yeah. I think D2C is a massive phenomenon, and we're very proud of the role we play in enabling that. And I just want to describe D2C a little bit so that we're talking of exactly the same definition. D2C is any process of taking away the layers in the middle, which could be a retail surface or a marketplace website. The consumer and the brand are talking to each other, and the fulfillment is happening directly. That's the definition, right? And not only does therefore D2C encompass the emerging new brands, but also brands such as ITC, who've got a fantastic e-store now where they want to service you directly, create demand and service, right? So D2C is not just a brand phenomenon. D2C is just a completely new way of servicing the demand. We can argue even creating the demand. And that's the interesting part. Because on platforms like ours, you are able to segment consumers. D2C first opportunity is to actually find the consumer for the very relevant product, rather than have a mass product for mass retail. So the biggest advantage that gets unleashed through our platforms is because you're able to meet consumers where their interests are, you can actually build multiple product variants appealing to small segments. And yet each of those segments then adds to the whole market. It's not like you're not doing the rest. Yeah. And therefore, when you take a Wow shampoo and have a onion variant, for example, it appeals to a certain audience, but they're able to find consumers who are conscious of that need. And then they have a whole set of portfolio to then attack the whole market. All the way to, let's say, an emerging organic food brand called Two Brothers, which exports across the world. Again, here they're exporting Indian organic food to consumers across the world, because that's also targeting in some way. Correct. Right? So whether it's targeting by geography or targeting by need / segment, that's what has powered the whole D2C play. And therefore, whether we look at Wow shampoo, whether we look at Mama Earth, whether we look at ITC or Two Brothers, I think fantastic examples on how D2C is really powering ahead, and we are very proud to partner many of these brands in their growth.
Great. Also, Sandeep, I read it in one of the recent articles which said that Facebook in some way influences the purchase decisions of the consumers. Would you agree with this statement?
Oh, of course, of course. Work we've done suggests that 90% of new brands actually that consumers get discovered on our platforms, right? And there is a reason for that. The first reason is that consumers show great affinity to interact with brands on our platform. we have overall understood that digital influence, which is consumers' willingness to engage with brands, has moved up very significantly in the last 3 years. Add to that, that on our platforms, consumers are actually seeking out brands. So, for example, more than 3/4 of Instagrammers follow a brand. They already follow a brand. Indian businesses have a following of more than several million across the world already, right? So now, not only are consumers keen to interact with brands on digital in any case, on our platform, they're showcasing their interests and brand affinity. That allows, therefore, for this massive traction to happen. And that's a phenomenon we're seeing.
Sure. And could you give me a sense of how many of these businesses are actually women-led? Do you have any numbers on that?
Yeah, I think one of the large interesting pieces is the democratization of business, as small businesses have used our platforms. And I think a small business in its early stage really is looking for the ability to get to their consumer most efficiently in the geography that they can service. Our platforms enable you to attract a consumer at a pin code level or at a global geography level, right? So you decide which location, because location allows you the ability to service, and the interest-based understanding of the consumer allows you to target, right? So that's powered small business. And we think of small businesses support, therefore, on two dimensions. One is how do we give them great efficiency in their growth? And the other is basic tooling and skilling to allow them to go digital most efficiently. So in terms of our training and our outreach, right? Last year alone, for example, we did an outreach to close to 15 million businesses. Today, for example, 15 million businesses are on WhatsApp for Business, which is a basic business tool now available to everyone, right? In this context, therefore, more and more segments of entrepreneurs who could not access entrepreneurship can now do, and women is a key cohort there. And I'm very happy to report, in fact, last year, when we look at some of the buy-sell groups on our platform, upwards of 40% actually have women leading them. So it's very exciting to see women entrepreneurs and case studies, whether it was Momsco that we spoke of last year, is really a case of a mom feeling the need for getting the right product for her children, doing research on our platform, getting the feedback, and now we know Momsco is large enough and has now been acquired by another major. So that's a great example. All the way to emerging women entrepreneurs, and Super Bottoms is an example where we see women entrepreneurs therefore really going out, and therefore the fundamental democratization of business is allowing all cohorts of potential entrepreneurs to come in, and women is the first one without any surprise.
Some very excellent insights from you. So Sandeep, I would want to understand the power of digital enabling these D2C businesses to expand at a global level. What are your thoughts on it?
I think first, we do want to recognize that all businesses, large and small, are building business on our platforms, right? Whether I look at an HDFC pushing the insurance penetration charter, right? Or SBI building their digital presence using the YONO app, or J&J talking about clean and clear in vernacular, or GSK's going rural with Chacha Chaudhary. So from the largest brands to all of the emerging brands, and we just spoke of many, right? So everyone can. It's really about which cohort you want to go to at greater efficiency. We believe, therefore, we have the consumer engagement on the platforms and the tools businesses need. And tools, for example, aid awareness. So whether it's reels, whether it's video. And then we have more tools that allow for example, consideration of purchase as you think through the consumer journey. Multiple tools that allow, for example, conversion. So messaging, today, a consumer can see your ad and click to continue the conversation on WhatsApp, which takes away the friction of not having the physical interaction in retail store, right? So those possibilities continue to make businesses get more and more efficient, and both large and small businesses therefore are growing the business on our platforms.
So, Sandeep, I would also want to understand there are a lot of decentralized apps, say Clubhouse, for example, which are emerging, right? So, how does Facebook look at it? What are your strategies to probably, handle these new apps that are emerging in the ecosystem?
I think connections, you could argue, is a need for every consumer in the world. It's a category that doesn't need greater penetration, right? People do want to connect, right? And multiple options exist, and you all use multiple platforms to connect. So I think we will continue to see the emergence of many. We are very keen to do more and more to give that immersive connection, a deeper connection like we spoke of, to one, all our communities, and secondly, for small businesses and large businesses to connect with consumers efficiently. So we are focused on making sure a deeper engagement and a profitable growth agenda for businesses. We'll continue to push that at our end.
Sure. All the very best for that. And thanks a lot for taking out time. I'm sure the audiences will have a lot of takeaways from this conversation. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.